Without introduction, let me invite our Minister Syed Saddiq. Please welcome.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dachahau Yipidi Kinge Vanakam. Thank you very much for having me here. I think that was an interesting introduction. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Syed Saddiq. I'm 25 years old from Malaysia. I come from a family where my father was a laborer who commuted daily from a southern state in Malaysia called Johor to Singapore, wakes up 4 a.m. every morning and checks into work at 5 a.m. and only comes back at about 10 p.m. at night. My mom is a teacher who is still working as a teacher, committed her life to improving the level of education of young Malaysians, especially those from underprivileged background, and now, to date, served for more than 40 years. My story started from that very family. In other parts of the world, it will be almost impossible for someone from my family background to be in politics and what more to be appointed as a minister at the age of 25 years old. But it was possible because even before I got into politics, there were a myriad of other young Malaysians who stood up, that enough to challenge the authority, to ensure that young people like me can speak up, can get quality education, and ensure that one's family background is not the determinant of one's success. That if you're young, you are capable, you work hard, and you show diligence as the way forward, anyone can climb up the ladder of success. And I speak this because in the context which we are in today, I firmly believe that any country which invests heavily in its youth populace is bound to succeed. In the 1900s or in the mid-1950s, if you look in America for an example, countries which build the strongest and most inclusive institutions are the ones which are bound to succeed. It was the civil rights movements in America which led to more than 20 million of its population to be given quality education and equal access to economic opportunities. There was a court case of Brown against the Board of Education which led to a greater desegregation of schools, which then empowered larger communities. It was young women, due to the suffragists and suffragette movements, which led to more women being empowered in the 1950s and then led to America climbing up the global ladder quickly. Every single global superpower today at one point in time failed. But it was due to young people then who persevered through difficult times, built strong democratic traditions, empowered its populace, whether they are in the majority or the minority, ensured that inclusive institutions led to greater distribution of wealth from the top to the bottom, and ensure that everyone had a place in the building block of success. History has shown that countries with strong democratic traditions and inclusive institutions are the ones who could persevere through the most difficult of times. Looking forward in our respective countries, I think the challenge forward today is to ensure that the youth are heavily invested in. That in the past it might be about racial and religious minorities, it may be about gender equity and equality. But I believe the way forward now is to empower youth populaces. That countries which invest the most in young people are the ones which will be most successful. Because it is a part of that inclusive tradition. It is a part of that growth journey which we move forward together. When we talk about young people, it's very easy to sideline and trivialize them. Because it's convenient to say that young people are inexperienced, incapable. That it's much convenient for us to say, let them wait. Let's wait until they turn 40s or 50s, and only then do we give them the opportunity to lead. It's very easy to sideline young people by saying, well, you are the leader of the future, but not the leader of today. It is a convenient narrative. But notice how countries which are most successful are those who trained young people at a very early age and give them the opportunity in the most challenging of problems to resolve, are the ones who are most resilient and successful. If you look at companies who are registered in the Forbes 100, these are ones which have board members as young as early 30s to mid 30s. Just recently, Starbucks appointed a young board member, a lady, by the age of 33 years old. On average, CEOs of the Forbes 100 companies come from young people in their mid 40s. It is not an isolated case, but it is the trend today. And in my very country, currently I'm trying to ensure that in corporate boards, I'm not just talking about politics, but in corporate boards where the epicenter of power is at, where wealth can shape-shift mindsets of people and also lead to greater development, it's important to have youth representatives in every single corporate board. They are those who initially said, well, you don't have enough young talents. Well, if we don't, then that's a greater reason for us to start investing in them. Give them the opportunity, train them early so that they can lead in the future. But at the same time, when you look at Forbes 30 under 30, 13 are from Malaysia. And yet there are those who say that young people are inexperienced and incapable. But globally, young people are recognized across the world to be the movers and shakers of industries. This is not an isolated case in Malaysia. I believe the same voice of reason reaches out to our own respective countries. We have a very vibrant young population who want to be heard, who want to be given the opportunity, who want to ensure that they not only are the ones who give opinions, but are the ones who have a seat at that decision-making table. That in the end, countries which inculcate this youth tradition are the ones who are most likely to succeed. Because in the end, investing in young people today means that countries are more likely to future-proof themselves on whatever adversities and problems which are to come in the future. But my advice to young people of today is to embrace whatever problems which we have today and use those problems and convert it into opportunities. Because often the time where young people climb up is a time of difficulty, duress, where problems are translated into unique opportunities where young people seize it and use it as a building block to success. In my very case, it would be impossible for me to be a minister if everything was peaceful and there were no rough waters. But when young people in Malaysia, not just myself, but millions dared to speak up against the global corruption scandal, when young people who were once seen to be apathetic, a community which did not care about the problems which happened in and out of the nations, then became the most active participants and ones which dared to speak up, translated into greater success. In every country, we will face these unique challenges and problems. But as young people, we must brave ourselves, embrace these problems, find unique solutions to move forward. Because we are the global disruptors. If we don't disrupt, we are bound to fail. Because those before us have been in that field for decades, have decades of experience, have networks which are much stronger than us. So if we are to use the same route, we are bound to fail. But if we think critically, use an unconventional and unorthodox route to move forward, we can do the impossible. Just look at some of the most successful entrepreneurs of today. From the time of Tim Cook when he first moved Apple, from the time of, to share the example of Malaysia, where some of the most successful entrepreneurs, the ones who moved Grab or My Taxi, which is now a multi-billion-dollar industry, thought out of the box to ensure that problems could be translated into actual concrete solutions. These are people who dared enough to take the leap of faith, to do the unthinkable, risk takers, who started off with a great intent to solve a problem and to serve the community which they are from. These are the unique challenges which young people face today. All of you in front of me are leaders of your respective industries and countries. If we are able to galvanize the youth support, inspire young people in our respective countries, identify problems and translate it into solutions, we will be able to do the impossible. And while we do that, we will compete with one another, but in a healthy fashion, that we will send a message to the leadership of our country, that if we do not invest enough in young people, while we might be at the top, we cannot be complacent, because there are hundreds of other countries who are trying to outcompete us, and the young ones are the ones who will shape the future and who will determine who will be the most successful. It's an honor to be able to speak in front of all of you. I'm very sure that our paths will cross again in the future. I look forward to meeting you in your respective countries, and hopefully we will be able to empower our youth populace together, because youth power is a tradition which we need to start not just today, but since years ago. Thank you very much.